Good morning, good evening, good night. NFT Live Web3 Network. We're bringing you the latest from around this great, fast-paced, fast-moving, age-defying or inducing industry. I'm sitting here with Gifted. I'm Nifty Q. I look like I'm around 30 years old, but I'm actually 80 in IRL years. So we are making sure to, again, package all the stuff that's been happening over the last 3 hours. A lot of big news. We saw the GRAYSCALE ETF fund denial get overturned. That was really cool. We also saw X payments. That's going to be a big topic for today. It looks like X is moving more towards payments and crypto and wallets. What does that mean for NFTs? All of that good discussion. I am sitting here with Gifted. I believe we're going to be having a musical chairs here on the show. We are having Jessica Yatrofsky to talk about her new drop on Base. She's going to be joining us momentarily. And then Biggie Poppins is joining us at the latter half of the episode, if possible. Gif, you just got off GM Web3. How you doing, man?
So good. Can you hear me? I think I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you can hear me, then we're good, man. It was an awesome show over there. We had a lot of energy in the room for hashtag Tech Tuesday. We got in some tech talk right at the end there. I feel like we got in a little bit of tech talk, but a lot of it was covering the breaking news around the SEC, GRAYSCALE, and then even getting into a little bit of the fallout around the breaking news from yesterday, which was SEC settling with Tom Bilyeu and impact theory.
It's old news.
It's old news.
I've
solidified more of my thinking on that. We don't have to get back into it, but I feel like I have a clearer opinion now of like why I'm infuriated by a lot of it. But anyway, other than that, you know what? We're focusing on today's breaking news, which is very bullish and very positive, which is potentially, at least a lot of people thinking that this victory by GRAYSCALE is helping to pave the way for Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. Big deal. Yeah. Big deal.
And we will get into that. That is going to be a major topic on the episode. Listen, based on all the stuff happening with the SEC, do not come after us. Again, we are not financial advisors here. We have always said this up front. We even have some awesome tickers that we display to the people that participate and also the people that, engage with this content that says this is not financial advice. So yes, don't take what we say and Tom Bilyeu us. Okay, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. A bunch of different topics to hit on today's episode. X payments and that GRAYSCALE ETF are the most. You guys are getting in active and early here. Fisher Karma says is an exciting day, and it definitely is. I'm going to start with some trailers. We're trailer maxis here, and I got a couple, man. I got just let's get us off on the right foot here. We've been talking about Mutant Saturday, but we never got that official video, right? That recap video that has all of the awesome events and all of the awesome highlights from the actual Saturday night there in Miami. And we're going to watch a little bit of it. So the Yuga show, you get early. Let's jump into Mutant Saturday. Let's act like we've been there. That Miami vibe, bro. Darga. All right. Until I saw this shot, I was skeptical. Okay. I'm not fully skeptical. It looked like they were having a great time. But until I saw this wide angle shot of everybody that was there, I was like, okay, you can kind of, angle the camera a certain way to make it look like there was 100 people there, 200 people there. It looks like there was a bunch of people at this event. I'm excited. We'll watch the rest of this. And I skipped out right before Gift I could see his Yuga outro that he loves. All right, I'll get to some of your comments. Gift, what do you think?
I don't know why you're trying to throw shade like nobody was there. That was
didn't
weird
know.
move. Yo, Beeple was there. Anywhere Beeple goes, DGens will follow. Q, you know the rules. Look, that may have been in Miami technically, but no, that was Serum City, fam. And I wish I was there. That looks, as somebody who's been to the previous 2 Ape Fests and been to some great Yuga events, this looks like a great time. I definitely saw a couple other friends in there, which is awesome to see. DP saying Sausage Party
It
Deluxe.
looked like there were some ladies in there.
Yeah, no, compared to most Web3 NFT parties, Yuga events are not at all. They actually have a much better ratio or mix of women. So no, I would not call Yuga events sausage fests. I would say for most NFT events, you could probably make that argument. It looked awesome. Shout out to them and everybody that got to go. I'm mad jelly, just straight up.
All right, I'm getting to some comments here. Again, we just started the episode. I am going to drop that X post for NFT Live so y'all can engage with it and pump our numbers. Apparently, Prodigy saying this show is just an engagement farm for their X accounts. New conspiracy for today. It's not a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. It's true. OVOT from Knox Darkness.
Look at how many followers have grown over the last 2 years. It's clearly working real well.
I'm just working on a sweet potato and ginger soup while I listen in, always making us jealous. Theo Vice, hey yo. Extinct is saying my bot is ready. Decryptolorian is doing what we asked him to do. Engage. Quantum Variants in the house saying GM. J Yacht is about to be here momentarily. K-Town Crypto King is saying winning. Arafim, let's go. I mean, you guys are getting after it pretty early here. So looks like a great party. All right, we do have a lot of other news to hit. We mentioned the 2 breaking news, but I'm going to stay on the trailers today. Yat Siu, big fan, belongs on the Mount Rushmore of NFTs. He just put out an announcement yesterday that he was going to have his TED Talk go live momentarily, and it did. And we're going to listen to a little bit because you can't get enough Yacht. I'm going to try. I'm going to break this up.
How long is it? 10. Yeah. Okay. 10 minutes. All right. Buckle up. Get the popcorn.
I just don't want to get banned off YouTube. That's the only reason we're not listening to 10 minutes, folks. So I'm going to try to break this up. We haven't mastered the reaction video where you're not getting copyright yet. I don't know the rules. Everybody can just listen to have reaction videos, but us apparently.
The rule is that you just have to say clearly this is not an unregistered security 5 times fast before you play it.
All right. Anyways, I don't know why I'm getting this ad. That's a weird.
Because they know that you have military information.
Ow. All right. Sorry for that.
You've all seen the bombastic headlines. The metaverse is dead. But is it actually true? I was certainly alarmed by the media reporting on the alleged demise on the industry in which I'm so involved in. So I thought I'd check in on the metaverse. See how it was doing. The metaverse is very young after all, and we should keep an eye on it. And what I found was that the metaverse was very much the same metaverse as last I checked, except it had grown bigger and more impactful.
All right. Hell yeah. I'm breaking this up for no copyright. GIF, tell me when to stop if you have any takes on what Yat is saying.
I saw a place where millions of people who had been financially excluded find employment and real economic opportunities. I saw a place where participants, either singly or in groups, formed complex systems that very much resembled the workings of modern capitalist societies. I saw a place last year that generated over $30 billion of economic activity and had treasuries maintained by those same communities to the tune of $12 billion.
Yat's up there looking like a snack. Come on, Yat. Give it to him, Yat.
Yada, yada, yada. Yo, Decryptolorian saying you cannot feed the metaverse after midnight. I've heard that about it. It's dangerous to do so.
Now let's put that a little bit in context. The metaverse has reserves just below that of the fiscal reserves of New Zealand and greater economic activity than the GDP of Cyprus, Iceland, and 100 other countries.
Yo, we bigger
The
than
metaverse
Iceland?
seems to be doing okay.
Sheesh.
But this may not be quite the metaverse that you're thinking of. You might be thinking of the metaverse as this 3D virtual reality immersive space with additional sensory stimulation. No, what I'm talking about is the open metaverse, powered by Web3 and blockchain.
Pause.
We're actually pausing for that.
Yeah.
Treasuries that I'm referring to are the treasuries of DAOs. $12 billion within control of its communities without any central authority. The banking system underlying the open metaverse is DeFi. You might have heard of decentralized finance before, but you may not have known that it is part and parcel of the open metaverse. All of this open metaverse is powered by blockchain and comprises part of what we describe as Web3, which we firmly believe will be the future iteration of the internet, which is currently still mostly in the Web 2 stage.
Can we pause to say rest in peace to the people that tried to say that Web 3 was just a fad as a term? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I remember reading some really bad takes from people that, like, well-known thought leaders in the space who will not be named, saying, yo, Web 3 is just another fad. It's like, yo, was Web 1 a fad? Was Web 2 a fad? No, these are distinct eras of internet technology. What do you mean Web 3 is a fad or like just a meaningless name? It is a definitional term for an era in internet technology that began around 2020 and that we are currently still moving into. And people out there like Yacht educating on what this new era of internet technology means is just a nail in the coffin for all of those bimbos who don't actually understand how internet technology works.
The School of Digital Property Rights. That's what Yacht teaches. It really comes down to that. And one of the reasons why we get so upset or get really heated or get really engaged sometimes in stories that might seem small to other folks, like, and we get all like hyped up, is because of the things that Yacht is saying later in the video, which is that ownership makes it so people can work together with incentivized value, right? It's almost like being in a community where you own the house. You are incentivized to see that community do better. You want to engage with your neighbor. You want to make the park look better. You want to do all these things. And that can only happen through ownership. And so when somebody comes in like and I'm not going to look, I don't want to get too into the weeds with how deep we are into this Tom Bilyeu thing, but that's why we get so defensive, because we are literally community members and I mean a actual community. Think about it like a city or a town or your neighborhood. It's like somebody's coming into your neighborhood exclaiming all of these different things, saying, I'm going to do better for this neighborhood. I'm going to push us forward, and then do the almost exact opposite. And we all have ownership here. That's the key. That's what Yacht always teaches. And that's the main thing I think that drives people's emotions in this space. So why people get so riled up is because we are owners in this community. And I think about it in that same sense of not community in this esoteric word. No, a physical neighborhood. You're coming into our neighborhood and espousing all these things, and you end up destroying it. That's why we get so defensive.
Just by holding any of these assets or even the native currencies like Ether or Bitcoin, you are a stakeholder in the network and the protocol success and its growth itself, which is a revolutionary idea, not some just old paradigm that's happened before that can be legislated based upon some kind of policy that was created in 1920 by people that didn't even know what a computer was. Like this, to your point, Q, this is why, and I guess we're going there. This is what frustrates me about the Tom Bilyeu thing.
Well,
sorry, there's like a military helicopter hovering over me. But real quick, this is an important movement in which we are all stakeholders that needs real leaders that believe in it. And if we fall for the wolves in sheep's clothing, so to speak, the people who would drape themselves in the ethos that would take all of the accolades and position themselves, take all the money, take all the accolades of being a leader in the space, but then actually when it comes down to it, show that they don't truly believe or care that this is a new paradigm, a new technology, a revolutionary new opportunity for millions of people around the world to be stakeholders in something that they've never, nobody's participated in before, changing so many different systems that are broken. Like, if you don't actually believe that, if you're not here to establish new systems, new ways of thinking, new models, then don't take millions of dollars from the community and position yourself as a fucking leader. And that's what it comes down to with Tom.
And we're the motherfuckers that have to sit here and rebuild this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we're the ones that have to support different builders in this space that are actually building things after somebody comes in and ruins it, right? That someone sets us back 6 months, or someone sets us back by coming in and doing something that actually, either slows down innovation or completely takes money out of the ecosystem and out of the, as you
extracts all the value from the real people that care, that do believe. Like,
y'all are too, sitting there. You're in the same boat with us.
We just saw this situation with Recur, and it was another situation where these people came in, positioned themselves as some kind of leaders, took down over 70 mil, and then as soon as shit got hard, just disappeared with the money, basically abandoned the whole space.
All right. I do want to get back into the Tom Bilyeu stuff at some point, because we did have Hester Pierce, who has been a proponent of crypto and what we're doing here in Web3 for a long time within the SEC. So they had a dissenting opinion within the voting that was happening around Tom's case. So I do want to get back into that. Let's see if Yat has anything. I don't want to watch the full 10 minutes, but let's see if he's got anything in the next minute that we can get to.
To access the open metaverse, you don't need fancy VR goggles. You just need plain old boring 2D screens, and you can enter a rich, thriving universe of capitalist economic societies that have virtual worlds, businesses, enterprises, experiences with millions of digital citizens. Our lives already have a very strong virtual component. In Asia, where I live, we spend over 9.
I'm actually going to skip to the end here and see if he talks about the ownership. That's the last 30 seconds that you get of Yat today, folks.
Entrepreneurship and innovation flourish, as capitalism has done for centuries before. This can already be seen in the digital context. Last year, NFTs generated over $24 billion of sales. The majority of that went to the creators and owners of these NFTs. Web2 platforms, such as Spotify, paid only a third of that to its creators in that same year.
So this is a great segue for X that we're about to speak on as well. Like, where they go with the payments that they're essentially getting into is interesting, because people are espousing this. We obviously live on X if you're in the NFT and Web3 space for the most part, but I think X actually pays out less to their creators than something even like YouTube that we're sitting on right now. So super interesting.
George Washington famously wrote, "Freedom and property rights are inseparable. You can't have one without the other." The same is true for the virtual realm. In order to ensure our digital freedom, that we not be slaves to either platforms or any of the future AIs, we must also have true digital property rights. Thank you.
And then I got the Air Force out again. Yeah, thank you so much. Friend of the channel for a long time there, still leading us forward. An actual leader in this space that actually wants to see this industry grow, flourish. Hopefully, he's doing a lot of things on the back end as well that we don't even see, where he's actually sacrificing. You know what I mean? So that's what
he actually believes. He actually believes in this shit. He's putting himself out there as a true believer and educator. He's not just some charlatan who's pretending to be, to understand this stuff and then misleading his community into bad situations. Shout out Yat.
All right, we are just getting started here. We're 20 minutes into the episode, actually. So technically, we're almost halfway through. We've been saying we want to keep these to an hour, but you guys are so engaging here in chat, and we have a lot to talk about on a day like this that we often go over. I don't know where we want to go next. We got Grayscale. I think we just like wrap up this Tom Bilyeu stuff here because we did get more information. So Tom was actually in a space yesterday answering the community's questions, talking about the settlement, right? There's not going to be any further case. Like this isn't going to trial because he's settling for the settlement that he actually took. So I think we covered that yesterday. There was like a $6 million fine. He's going to have to destroy the NFTs. I don't know what that looks like, even like changing metadata and all that stuff. Like you can't take that from people's wallets. There is going to be a buyback in full. One of the most interesting things on the buyback talk is that the money that he raised from Founders Key never actually moved, or at least that's what he said. The 30 million that these people that, you know, all the news sites are espousing he raised was not used. So people came up on, you're supposed to like build something with the money that we gave you. You're here. So it's very complex. Let's spend like 5 minutes on this gift because I don't want to continue down that.
There's so much to talk about here. I'll try and keep my thoughts brief. Look, I think there's a lot of questions here around what he was actually doing and why he came into the space and took all this money. Because you could say, okay, like let's say one scenario was that he didn't touch the money, didn't start investing it, didn't do anything, didn't build anything, and just like took all that money and then did nothing with it because he knew that the SEC was going to come for him 2 years later or a year and a half later. If so, then he knew that what he was doing was illegal, right? So if you're going to try and make the argument, oh, he didn't do anything with the money because he knew that like that it was problematic from the jump. So you took over $30 million, misled people into thinking that you were going to develop the next Disney, knowing that it was illegal how you were positioning this. Okay, that's scenario one, which isn't great, right? He basically took everybody's money, lied to them, knowing that he was going to get to this point where he had to basically settle and then pivot and figure out like burn NFTs or do something else. The other scenario is that he didn't do anything with the money because he just told people he was going to do a bunch of stuff and then was sitting on it for years. Why were you doing that then? Why weren't you immediately putting that money to work to execute on a vision over the last 2 years that you sold people when you took that money? Either of these scenarios is really shitty. Because like literally neither of those things would occur to me. If I took down $30 million, I already have a plan in place that I sold you on that I'm executing on the next fucking day. So it boggles my mind, frankly, how we got to this position. And I feel like a lot of people would look at me and be like, oh, you're being too harsh or something. It's like, no, I can hold two thoughts in mind at the same time and understand the nuance of the situation, which is that he put himself into an untenable position by selling these NFTs as an unregistered security. He fucked up and didn't do his due diligence, didn't get the legal preparation, the business preparation in place to actually do what he said he was going to do. He fucked up and so put himself into an awful situation where he had to settle or go through a lengthy legal battle and actually fight for, you know, a better precedent for the whole fucking space like Yuga's doing. He opted to, you know, take the easier route, which I'm not saying that's not advisable because he's got probably a lot to lose and he doesn't want to sink years of time and probably millions of dollars into fighting that fight. So I can understand the difficult situation he put himself into when he sold these NFTs as an unregistered security. And then I can also say you positioned yourself as a leader and then immediately flipped over and said the SEC knows what's best.
So
we need better leaders in the space. We need real leaders that believe in the tech, like a Yat Siu, not these charlatans that keep taking millions of fucking dollars saying that they believe in the technology, that they're for the metaverse, that they're for Web3, that they're for NFTs, that they're for the community. But when it comes down to it, they really aren't.
So there's some context here that we want to add to this, right? Like we've been talking about this for the last 24 hours. We talked about on the last show, like it's tough because we're so, tied in and connected, at least at the time, with Tom. We didn't get any payment, by the way, to like have him on the channel at the time, and we still do this today. We just want to have folks on to talk about what they're building. So I just want to add more like value to y'all at home and to try to get some out of this. I was in the spaces yesterday. The reason why I push back a little bit is for this reason. A lot of what he's talking about is essentially saying, I'm super jaded at the way that the people that bought this NFT feel about the project. They want to financialize this NFT, right? What's up, Biggie? We'll get to you in just a sec, brother. We're waxing poetic up here. Anyways, context here. The actual spaces where he was on, he was basically saying, the SEC is going to come in and legislate this entire space. Everybody better get in line. This is the way it's going to be. And also the fact that he was saying, man, I lost my track.
Well, okay. So what you're saying,
hold on. I want to add some more context here. We had a piece here. So for those of you that, are just done with this, the TLDR is don't say shit like this. The fact that he actually said this, even if it was offhand, although again, that's tough for founders being held to things that they're just randomly saying in like a Discord. That's extremely tough. And then people are asking the same question. Has my founder randomly said something that's going to get him in trouble down the line? But to say if you're paying 1.5 ETH, you're going to get some massive amount more than that. Yeah. That's the TLDR on this is don't say that and you might be just fine.
He created the scenario that he's in. That's one of the most important points to me. And what you just said, Q, is that it sounds like part of what he's doing to excuse why he's just rolled over and is saying the SEC knows what's best, suck on the teat, is that he had some toxic people in the Discord. Every single founder, even the ones of us that didn't raise 30 million fucking dollars, have toxic people in the Discord, my guy. Like, grow some fucking skin, dude.
Like that. I was there in the spaces and it felt like I don't like how people came at us because they care about the financialization. So Biggie came in at a tough time. We're going to wrap up this Bilyeu talk. I do want to drop in, I just put it there in chat, the dissenting opinion from Hester Pierce. So Commissioner Pierce has been favorable towards Web3 and crypto. So there are folks that do show an actual like understanding that this tech is complex and that you can't just roll out ridiculous legislation or just broad legislation, I should say, about something that is as complex as an NFT. It has to be well thought out. And I just dropped it. If you want to read it, there's a ton of good things here. I'll read specifically from this one sentence. We understand why the commission was concerned about this NFT sale. Even though we believe strongly that adults should be able to spend their money as they choose, we share our colleagues' worry about the type of hype that entices people to spend 30 mil on NFTs seemingly without a clear idea on how they will enjoy or profit from them. This legitimate concern, however, is not a sufficient basis to pull the matter into our jurisdiction.
There you go, Biggie. Welcome to the show. What do you think?
Dude, so I was having trouble like signing in earlier, so I got to catch on a little bit of that tail end regarding Tom Bilyeu, and I know I saw you touched upon Yat Siu as well. Man, crazy, right? I'm a little more excited about the Bitcoin ETF announcement.
Maybe that's a good segue
for our side, of course. But just going on this NFT, right? Like I feel like everybody's complicit, right, in this regard. That we all love to hype our own projects, and one way or another, the value proposition is always implied, right? And so I guess the caveat as usual is like careful with the language that
This
you
wasn't
use.
implied. This was explicit.
No, it was
And so
directly stated.
Yeah,
while
let's move on.
Biggie, I'll take your point that like everybody is out there hyping stuff, but like there's people like myself and many other people in the space, probably like Nifty Q and people in the space that have very clearly from the jump been saying, do not use investment language. Say everything that you're doing is a digital collectible. Never call it an investment. Like there's people that know this shit that have been saying this shit that don't participate in mind fucking people into giving you thousands of dollars for a quote unquote investment.
I agree, Gif. I'm not trying to justify his actions in any way. I just try to put the things in context and when that project launched and what was going on. And I agree, like you can't use the FUD in your Discord as an excuse, right, for it either. I was in that Discord, by the way. Yeah, it was crappy, but I've seen way worse. The issue is just to like watch what you say, and maybe henceforth like we'll be a little more understanding of other founders like that have been very careful about what they promise, right, and what they insinuate. But I still think the carpet bombing approach that the SEC is trying to use in this space is wrong, and I'm very happy that at least in the other sector, which is the BTC space,
yes,
they finally got a nice swift kick in the fucking balls, and I'm happy about it.
So the speed,
more of those, please.
The speed at which our industry moves was on full display this morning because NFTs versus SEC was going to be the news piece that everybody was going to be talking about for the next week, 2 weeks, whatever, into the future. And then literally not 24 hours later, we had a ruling against the SEC come down. I need to make sure I get the details on which judge is actually passing this, because oftentimes it's just like a judge ruled that the Bitcoin ETF here, the Grayscale ETF fund, needs to be not approved, but it can't be essentially like denied without some type of look. So we're going to dive into the details. I do have another trailer for us up here, which is from CNBC talking about this. I don't know how much they'll get into it, but we'll watch a very brief moment and then kind of come back to this.
How big of a decision is this on Grayscale?
It's massive. This has been a years-long pursuit for Grayscale. Remember, it has been fighting the SEC's decision, and now it has the courts in their favor. If you look at the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, this is the main entity that would face a conversion. This is one of the longest-standing, largest trusts holding Bitcoin, in which retail and institutional investors have been able to gain exposure for many, many years.
So if you're living under a rock, what's happened here is that a judge, and yeah, I would need to find the details, stat, has basically said that the denial of the Bitcoin ETF was unjust, unlawful. And so they have to go forward and actually look at this without denying it outright. And we'll get essentially a decision by sometime in the next 6 months, I believe. I think it's like a 3 or 6 month timeline. We will jump into the details. But yeah, guys, stop me whenever I don't want to get tagged by YouTube here, but we can jump right back in.
Now, you are looking at a discount to net asset value really narrowing here. At this very moment, it stands at about 24% under its net asset value, but that is expected to narrow as they get closer to the ETF conversion, which has really become a main thesis for investing in this fund. And beyond that, as you're saying, there is a whole host of other ETF filings in the pipeline, and this is boding well for those firms. I will also say...
Takes.
Regulation by enforcement is wrong. I think that's the essence of it. You need to actually build a case first, right? You don't just get to enforce something without being clear about what is wrong with it. That's what I took away from it.
Yeah, because what it allows you to do, like you've said so many times, Q, is basically just do whatever you want because there's no clarity and you don't even have to understand the technology or its potential. You don't have to look deep into what the technology is actually doing because there's no specific guidelines on what's going on with the technology. You don't have to really understand it at all. You just use the old hammer that was given to you 100 years ago and say, everything's a nail now.
All right, we are going to read directly from the press release here on CNBC. First Bitcoin ETF could be coming soon as court rules in favor of Grayscale over the SEC. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit has paved a way for a Bitcoin ETF. The court sided with Grayscale in a lawsuit against the SEC, which had denied the company's application to convert the Bitcoin Trust to an ETF. Bitcoin, Ether, and other major cryptocurrencies surged on the news. We did see that in the market across most altcoins as well. And we can jump farther into this. On Tuesday, the court sided with Grayscale in a lawsuit against the SEC. The decision could impact other companies that want to create Bitcoin ETFs like BlackRock and Fidelity.
Q still said he's feeling bullish on his bet that BlackRock BTC ETF will not get approved, Biggie. And I don't know how this guy has this much confidence, but I applaud your confidence, Nifty Q.
The confidence comes from the fact that they've been talking about Bitcoin ETFs for the last calendar 6-7 years that I've been in the space. So that's where the confidence comes from. They either deny it, they don't even allow the applications. I understand we're getting to this point where we actually have some movement, but that's where the confidence comes from, is past experience.
Yeah. The pendulum, though, has definitely swung and gives way. So what is it that you guys bet? Remind me. It was a Bilyeu. How are Bilyeu doing?
I don't want to check.
Bilyeu fam, we're not going to look right now. We'll wait till there's a decision.
All right, I'm gonna read more from this. SEC's response here says, we are reviewing the court's decision to determine next steps. Great take. A spokeswoman for Grayscale called Tuesday's ruling a monumental step forward for the American investors, the Bitcoin ecosystem, and all those who have been advocating for Bitcoin exposure through the added protection of the ETF wrapper. When you look at this stuff, when you see Bitcoin ETF, also think Ethereum ETF, because what happens is that is a precedent for the second largest cryptocurrency to be approved for an Ethereum ETF and be approved for this process to obviously be put and traded as an ETF. So that's huge for us Ethereum folks who are in this ecosystem every day. Look, I'm not going to FUD this at all. I will say that there are folks that believe this might be the last cycle, right? The last true cycle for really generational wealth, and something like an ETF approval that allows billions of dollars that are in all these trust funds, that are in all of these different 401ks, that are in all of that money flowing into crypto, specifically Bitcoin and Ethereum, in the next 2 to 3 years, makes me think that might be closer to the case. If you're getting closer toward 100K Bitcoin price, you're probably getting closer to, I don't want to call 10K Ethereum price right now on the channel, but that's where stuff starts to not be as nice from a return on investment perspective. Maybe a more stable price, right, that you'll see. So it'll move from 120 to 100. That's not that big of a that's 10%. But right now, that's what I'm thinking, man, is if this ETF approval comes, that's what we're going to see.
I agree, Q. And that's why Bitcoin and Ethereum are just old hat to me. I'm not interested anymore in that shit. That's like grandpa's old cryptocurrency. You know what I'm interested in? Dogecoin.
How is Doge doing off the move? So another one that we're going to touch on. Is Doge doing pretty well here?
Yeah. What's going on with X, right?
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a moment. Any last takes here on Grayscale ETF from the chat? I will pull those up as well. Guys, I'll let you round it out as well. Any other takes here from the big win
I would say
the SEC?
What we really should be talking about besides Doge is what's going on with Pepe. But we don't have to get into that now. Pablo saying, yes, financial advice. No, sir. You are mistaken. You are mistaken. Nothing we talk about here is financial advice. We've already said that multiple times. We'll say it again. We are not financial advisors. We're just talking about cool shit on the internet. Marty's saying he actually hates the term Web3 personally. It's like, okay, well, I don't know why. It's
What
it's
don't
just
you hate though?
I
Sam Spratt's
don't know.
monument game and CryptoPunks.
Yeah. What don't you hate? Great question. Quantum Variant asking, what about the Solana ETF?
I don't even want to touch that. The commission failed to adequately explain why it approved the listing of 2 Bitcoin futures ETPs, but not Grayscale's proposed Bitcoin ETP, the court said, referring to the exchange traded products. In the absence of a coherent explanation, this unlike regulatory treatment of like products is unlawful. Wow, that was summed up really well. In the absence of a coherent explanation, this unlike regulatory treatment of like products is unlawful. Great. Fantastic work.
I know, the incredible, right? That a legislative, entity is not being coherent. How could that be, right? Didn't they go to law school for these things? Insane. But wouldn't you agree, Giv, that in this particular future ruling of this case, this would set precedent for maybe other ETFs down the line of other assets?
Yeah,
right?
That's the whole thing. This is the whole bull case, the bull thesis here is that there's a literal watershed, deluge, waterfall moment that comes when the first BTC and Ethereum. Okay, when the first BTC spot ETF comes, that enables a bunch of others to be approved and Ethereum spot BTFs, and all of a sudden trillions of dollars come on the table to be seamlessly invested through traditional pipelines directly into the crypto markets through Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's the bull case, and that's what Q is referring to. That's how you all of a sudden you make this crazy jump from 30,000 Bitcoin to 100,000 and or 150,000, and you make the Ethereum jump from 1,500 to 10,000 or 8,000 or something like that. And then once you get there, it's a much harder ask to get to the next 5x, right? When you have that much money and that many people already in it. But that's what's exciting right now is we are on the precipice potentially of a big moment.
And we've been waiting for it for quite some time. It's exciting.
Not wrong. Bird is getting into our next topic for the day, so we will move into X payments momentarily. We also are going to have Jessica Yatrofsky to talk about her drop there on OpenSea and on Base. So this is through OpenSea, which has support for the Base protocol. If you are here, if you like the content, if you like us three in the try box, leave a like. If it's providing value to your life, provide some value back to us. We appreciate it. All right. X payments today. So this was the breaking piece. I actually had to switch the whole thumbnail on the episode because this is pretty large, especially for those of us who are living on X. That's what Web3 is doing these days. There's not really a competitor. I wouldn't mention Discord or Telegram. I don't think they provide the exact value that X provides. But we did get this news here. So NFT God was talking about it, but it also hit different media publishers as well. Elon Musk X obtains required license for crypto payments in a rare W for Rhode Island, by the way. This was in Rhode Island. Approved a requested license by Twitter Payments LLC, X payment branch on August 28th, according to data from NMLS. The currency transmitter license also includes different crypto-related service providers, such as crypto exchanges, wallets, and payment processors. A lot of different takes here. X has been moving towards payments for a little while. They're doing creator payouts now. Where my mind goes with this, which is kind of it goes in 18 different directions, but one I want to focus on is what this means for folks who believe the NFT PFP movement is not over and dead, right? That believes that folks are going to be wanting to have avatars on their profiles more in the future, and not that this was just some passing fad. The idea that you could have an NFT marketplace on X where we're actually showing off our avatars daily is where my mind goes.
That's an interesting take. That's not where my mind immediately went, but I'm excited about that potential. And it makes sense. if you're the everything app, you're going to have payment rails for all different kinds of things integrated seamlessly into it. And to me, the thing that it most immediately makes me think of that I keep imagining will happen at some point is that X will have its own token or digital currency that it's rewarding people with, and creators specifically, people that are creating content. So I don't know. For some reason, I haven't seen as many people talking about this. There was like a brief moment when people saw there was like a screenshot of a beta version of an X, future X app that had X coins in it. I don't know if y'all saw that, but like a whole section in the X app coming where it's like X coins. And then underneath that, I assume, is where you keep your different currencies and things like that. It seems like an obvious slam dunk for me that at some point X would integrate their own digital currency that they could reward people with and control the tokenomics over. And then, Reddit is already showing that if you do this properly, maybe you can get around any SEC controversy or problems and still have it operate like a decentralized cryptocurrency. So I don't know. That's the immediate things that come to mind for me is actually them having their own coin to pay creators with.
My mind went to Doge on the payments like immediately. I don't know
me
if
too.
X will launch its own token, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly my thought. As much as I think like having your own branded token, especially for a platform as massive as X, would be like, it's a whole new can of worms that you just don't want to get into. I think it's just easier to adopt all the other thriving cryptocurrencies. And we know Elon's been like super, bullish on Doge from the get-go. So, but I mean, down the line, foreseeably, it could happen for sure.
All right, other takes that I'll pull here from chat, and we just got Jessie Yatrofsky. She is in the green room as we speak. I'm excited to hear her takes on X payments as well. I know Jessica's had some controversial takes here on the state of X today and where Elon has it.
You're setting her up to spin. Yeah. But like, I'll just say really quick, I do think that there's credence behind Doge being the low-hanging fruit, but like pretending like having a rewards-based digital currency, cryptocurrency is some impossible hard thing that Elon Musk couldn't figure out. I don't understand that take. I feel like so many people.
I'm sure he's got the mental bandwidth and the engineering know-how and even the money to go through it though too. But I think like it's like it's like forking yourself in two different directions, like if this is going to be like the social media payments platform of the world, you just want to focus on that core concept and like elevate it to its highest potential. And
that's fair.
Maybe
he also
do like a rewards token. Fine,
he also made throwers though.
It puts you. Look, we're having the regulation talk way too much this week, but it does put you into the crosshairs, right? We've seen Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook try to do this with Libra. We've seen WorldCoin come under. Like, it's much easier for him to just say, hey, we're going to allow USDC. We're going to allow a Doge, Ethereum, all these things. Than say, hey, we're going to have to go to court to talk to the US because they think we're going to destabilize the US dollar. Or something like that. Like that's what we've seen, at least on the stable coin front. Maybe they can just launch, or is what you're talking about, like not a stable coin, you're talking about just a traditional crypto?
I'm talking about a rewards-based token like Moon or Bricks that like can operate in a decentralized way that isn't very hands-on. It just gives you a new way to reward people, and you can build on that over time. I'm not saying that they need to launch a stable coin or do something like that. So I don't know, maybe we're talking different directions. Yeah, Jess, your video's off. We want you to come on here.
Yeah, I mean both are options, right? You could just you could try to create your own stable coin as well if you want some type of stable currency on the platform, or you could just create a fungible token that is not tied to the US dollar or something, a basket of coins. So I think it's worth at least putting out there. The more likely scenario in the short term is probably Doge. So I do lean with Biggie there. On that, we are not getting Jessica's video here. That's showbiz, folks.
I mean, we can let her do audio while we just show the project.
While we let her come up here, do you guys mint already?
I did.
I did not yet, but I'm planning to. I'm gonna go check it out again.
I'm a little dismayed that I can't track. Like I feel like I was one of the like first 10 people to mint. I didn't wait for OnChainSummer. I went directly to OpenSea. It felt a little yucky, to be honest, but since it's Jess and there were a couple of other good artists, it's not their fault, right? It's OpenSea that we don't particularly like. She's taking out like the air-gapped laptop.
All right, so
that's awesome though. It is on OnChainSummer and OpenSea's homepage right now.
Yeah,
it's pretty sick.
Yeah, we'll get into that in just a moment. I was able to mint there 6 cents for gas. I mean, you're on that layer 2 protocol, so that was really awesome to be able to do. And we're still kind of making our way around this video issue. Let's stay in X app for a little bit longer because it does have some things, fellas, that we need to kind of work our way around, like the ability to host wallets on the platform too. Like, I think they probably will be non-custodial, I'm guessing.
And I'm hoping, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably how I see it. I mean, you have to get a lot of licenses, but they're obviously going that way with attaining this license for maybe even having custodial wallets on the platform. I don't know. My mind went to NFT marketplaces, at least a little bit down the line. Obviously, I think the low-hanging fruit, great. We see more crypto adoption on the crypto app. It is the app for the Web3 space. That's awesome. We'll be able to send, tip, do all of these different things natively without using a third-party app, which is what we've had to do.
And maybe even use our own wallets to secure our accounts, right? Which is really
so cool. I wanted to show this real quick because I did find where the bridge to base on OpenSea is, in case anybody's figuring this out as we go along, like I am. Yeah, let me pull that up again real quick. Oh wait, wrong one. Hold up. Sorry about that. What's going on? Here we go. So here you go. Actually, on the OpenSea page, they do now have a bridge to base in here. So if you tap on the wallet up here where it says base, my base balance, if you hit on that, the dropdown has a bridge to base, tab or whatever. So there you go. There's now a built-in bridge from Ethereum to ETH base right in OpenSea. And that's what you'll need to do with 0.009.
Right. So none of my co-hosts want to talk about X payments today. So we will move on because we do have Jessica Yatrofsky here, and we want to talk about her collection here on base on OpenSea that is live now. I think we all are now holders of this beautiful piece. So Jay Yacht, what's up? How you doing? I don't see a backwards cap though and a hoodie. So oh
no.
I think you're muted, Jess.
Shit.
There we go.
Yeah, we're professionals here, folks. You know, this is how it goes.
I said I have a hoodie here, but it's not an NFT hoodie, and I didn't have time to search for hats.
Your hair looks great. So.
What's going on? Tell us what's happening with this drop. I would love to dive in. It's nice to have you back on the channel, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah, it's like I said, it's hot as fuck here. Wait, can we cuss in this place?
Fuck no.
We do what we want.
Yeah, it's nice to be back. It's nice to see your guys' faces as opposed to listening to the voices. I mean, getting both. Yeah, I don't know. I was scrambling to get on here because I actually didn't know that my drop is only 24 hours. I didn't know
what's going on, Jess. What's happening with this?
Communication is peak.
Mercury's and Gatorade. This is my second laptop, so I've had a lot of issues the past week, I would say. But I didn't know a whole lot about base, and frankly, I still don't. So like I said, this is an experimental situation. Seems like people are excited about the drop, so that's kind of cool. I've been watching the activity online, but we're the last group of artists to go for OnChainSummer.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, the other artists are really cool. I think definitely check it out. And some people were messaging saying like, oh, it was cool. I bridged my ETH and I was able to get like one of each of the artist's pieces. Like this guy did like a total tutorial. I was like, oh, that's cute. I was like, I'm totally using this tutorial to figure out how to buy one of my own pieces because I have no idea what's going on because nobody told me. But, you know, you have to do YOR where like, I think that's bullshit because I'm used to doing all the emotional labor in the world. So I think like, you know, people should spell things out for people like me in the space, you know, as a mitzvah, a duty. You know,
I think it's really cool that you are part of this OnChainSummer event, and I think you're probably still one of the first NFT drops on Base. Like there's no big NFT marketplace on Base yet that I know of, and these OnChainSummer NFTs have been some of the very first NFT drops on the whole block. That's fucking cool. That's really cool.
I wonder if they'll keep going or like this will be like I'm the top signal to like destroy a platform because that always happens every time I drop. So we'll see if the OnChainSummer was a bust or
just real quick. Will you do me a favor and look at that settings cog underneath the video and tap on the video and just see if you're being throttled and if so, you can bump it up to high def because sometimes it throttles you on the video quality.
Where just want to make sure I'm in the settings, but what is
there's video on the left.
Oh, okay. Do I want full definition?
Full, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I hope that's better. Did it work?
All right. I do want to get into the details here about this drop, Jess. I do have the description here. I don't know. Do you want to read it? Do you want me to read it?
Oh, I can't. That's too small for me to read. So.
Okay, I got this. Then.
She doesn't know. She doesn't know her own poem. Get out of here.
Oh, the poem? You want me to read the poem?
No, Leave No Trace is a poem that gracefully captivates within the pages of Golden Throne. By the way, I don't know if you have yours on hand, GIF.
I have it somewhere. I don't know on hand, but I definitely have it somewhere around here.
Are we gonna get a lot? I love the live reading battles that Jay Yacht and GIF did.
You know, every time GIF reads my poems, why do you put punctuation after each line? He leaves a question mark. Did he leave? He's gone.
No, he's getting his. Yeah, I think he's getting the Golden Throne to read. So just prepare.
I wish
yourself.
he wouldn't. I wish he wouldn't.
This collection boldly explores the realms of love, sensuality, and ambition, pushing boundaries with its cynicism and intensity. Jessica's evocative poem, Leave No Trace, delicately balances the ephemeral nature of existence, urging readers to reflect on the significance of their presence. I'm excited for this, and that's why I minted.
Thank you. I appreciate your support, and I'm happy for everybody to have this as an open edition because I'm going to release the rest of the collection of the book out later this year, and there's under 200 poems in this book. So GIF, I was just saying, I don't know if you heard me, but I don't know why you put punctuation after every line of every one of my poems. You put a question mark, and
we have opened to a random page in Golden Throne. This is.
I thought you were gonna read
189. No, you have to read the poem in the NFT. I'll just read. I like to do a random poem out of Golden Throne by Jessica Yatrofsky. This is on page 189, randomly chosen. It's called "Your Love Is a Bad Fake." Flaky, sheep fur, you were an itch to scratch. Infection, invention, a Frankenstein.
This goes out to the sec.
I can feel Jessica's regret through the screen that she agreed to hop on this.
Look, if I can't make Jay Yacht uncomfortable at least once or twice a week, I'm not doing my job properly.
The poem next to that poem is better, I think, like as a response to what you said. It's called.
Oh, you want me to read more,
no,
Jess?
No, I was going to read this.
Wait, you want me to grab it again?
So this poem is called The Judgment Reserve. you, Graved, die lethally. That's it.
I think she read that directly to you, Giff.
You know what? Who's up here getting poetry read to them? Just saying.
I mean, it's the only poem I think that's been part of the OnChainSummer, as far as I'm concerned.
I
just going to declare it.
I would gamble. I'm not sure of this because I haven't seen all the other NFTs. I bet it's the first poem NFT on Base.
Oh, maybe that's something I can use, right? To
resume topper. Are you kidding?
Up my CV because people.
Yeah.
Jess, why did you choose Leave No Trace to be the one that's minted here?
That's a great question. So that's the last poem in the book. It's a very personal poem about an experience I had, but also for people that are out in nature, hikers, nature lovers. Leave No Trace is a set of principles for when you're interacting with nature, like leave it the way you found it kind of thing. But there's like actual 7, they're boring principles. I'm not going to read them off, but it's a really beautiful idea to leave no trace. But this poem kind of dives into leave no trace in terms of like nature and body. So I thought it was apropos because it's also OnChainSummer. We're talking about nature. Like, I just thought it was a nice sort of cap to the summer and has like a personal meaning for me. So I love this poem so much. Yeah, I can't say much more about it than getting into my personal life, but because there's a lot of private poems in here, and this is one of my favorites. And yeah, it was I would say, what's the word? Like,
Catharsis.
Putting it at the end of the book was a personal statement, and for the people who know what it means. So yeah, but it's like, kind of like a sensitive poem. Most of them are like really rude and mean. I mean, the book is dedicated to my disloyal subjects. So, leave no trace, I think, was a really beautiful, like kind of meditative place to be with the book.
I feel like you are calling in the end of summer with this, and that kind of makes me sad, but that's okay. That's
when
all right.
does summer officially end, though? Isn't it in
September?
Now,
as of today, literally.
Today is the last day of summer?
Apparently, yeah, with this drop.
Oh, I see what you did there. I'm going to actually look it up because... and you know how people used to say summer? I don't know if we could say that anymore because I don't know if that's politically correct.
Let me ask you a quick question before,
Labor Day is when it ends.
September 4th, yes.
Yeah, Labor Day. That's when you can't wear white, right? So, Jess, you are...
Wearing white.
I call you a fearless... get the most out of that white. I want to ask you a question about like how you look at this particular drop within your own oeuvre, your own body. Yeah, your own body of work, because I call you a fearless pioneer. You're one of these people out here and you're just trying different things, experimenting as I think good artists should, reinventing yourself through the technology, different opportunities that arise. You're trying to be a first mover and try out these different things, which I give you a tremendous amount of credit for. You're not afraid to fail. You're just going to keep like building your own legacy, building your own story into this world in different ways. So given that you're kind of, you have quite a few different pieces in your own puzzle, like how does something like this specific piece of being early on base fit into the larger J-Yacht narrative?
Well, I'm not really sure where this space is going, to be honest with you. And that's why I think it's important to just continue to experiment, because it could all go away tomorrow. So I think, like, honestly, being a little less precious about things, like, because this is an open edition, even though like it closes in an X amount of hours. I thought like, do I want to put this poem out because I want to let the whole collection out together? And I was like, well, who's thinking about that? Who's judging that besides me? So why not kind of create a little, I don't want to say gamification, but like some kind of excitement around like, okay, if people that were paying attention and got the OnChainSummer poem, they can go back and look at the rest of the collection and maybe pick something up from that. So it's like making this one really accessible and making the other ones really, I don't want to say valuable, but making the others, I guess, less accessible or more precious, but then not treating this as so precious that I'm worried about whether they're going to sell out, whether they're going to sell a lot of them, like those things, which I was really concerned with when I first entered the space. And it's like, yes, of course, we all want sales as artists. But I think that how it fits into my oeuvre is that I'm kind of moving towards the continuation of experimenting with different mediums. Like I let the idea dictate the medium. I've always said that. So with this kind of getting the writing on the blockchain more so this year it's like, why not? It's a bear market. It's like, if no one's going to care, it doesn't really matter. Like it's more about, like we say, the provenance and, putting a stake in the ground and experimenting and seeing who's around and interested in collecting poems. Like I found that sometimes when I drop work, whether it's writing or not, it has led people to the writing, and they'll pick up a piece because I still have some of those Gary V ones. Somebody picked up one of those recently. I was like, awesome.
That's awesome. Well, I think to your point, it's like it does feel like to me you're owning that position as a pioneer, which is like by being early, being first, being experimental, and like kind of just again fearlessly trying out and experimenting with these new technologies and mediums. That creates part of your story, right? As a pioneering artist, being out at the forefront of new technologies and just being early, trying new things, like that is an interesting story in of itself. And it's cool to see you wearing that and like owning that a little bit.
I feel like a lot of artists are going through that in like time in this industry right now.
Yeah. But obviously it's like, you're still using a lot of photography and poetry. Those seem to be like kind of the two mainstays of who you are as an artist and, your history, which is really cool.
I've had video, like there was I had two pieces on Foundation a few years ago that were video. So maybe like some more video pieces in the future, like more based on my performance art. I'm going to be doing some music hopefully next year. I mean, I've already done it. It's just like, how much do you want to let out in 1 year? So if we're still here next year, like you guys can look forward to that. Like I've done some audio things. I mean, well, you guys know that I have a single on Spotify.
I
made you play it and you were horrified.
Horrified, but like good horrified, I guess,
It's satire. It's satire. It's like performance art. So I've actually put together an album that I want to let out on the blockchain because I thought, that would be the coolest way to do it because like I'm not looking to be a recording artist. Like I think it's more of a performance art and just like again experimenting. But this is work that I've been working on for years and things that I've performed live. Like I think that thing that I sent you, like I performed that live during Basel a few years back, and like now we're remixing the track and it's going to go on to this more not full length. I don't know if you call it EP or whatever the hell you call it, but yeah, it's going to be something that's going to, and you're going to have your digiphysical or fidgetidigital, whatever. So I'm going to like wrap that into it, but it's basically fun because these things cost money to make. So even like with like 707 and the mints, it's like, I just want to try to be able to keep up with just doing some interesting things for the collectors who are still engaging to collect and to like look forward to, but not to like saturate too much because it's not just like, it's not about the integrity piece of like, I don't want everything to be so saturated. Listen, if I had the energy, I'd be dropping shit all of the time because like I said, we never know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen with the NFT market for one-of-one artists, let's say. I don't like calling myself a one-of-one, but like we just don't know what's going to happen with solo artists. And I feel like now's a better time than any to just do what you're doing and get it out there. And yeah, if I had a bunch of assistants, I'd be probably experimenting a whole lot more. It's just hard when you're a one-of-one and you're trying to like work and you're trying to experiment, and then you're also working on because it's like you have work that you've done, right, your whole career, and the things that you've done the past years that you want to get out. And then you have stuff that's like in your notebook that you're like, oh, I really want to get into this and start executing this. So you're looking at like a 5-year plan of your art always. Well, at least for me, like, you know, this book was written when I wrote Pink Privacy. I wrote 4 books at once. So there's 2 more after this, but it's like, you got to like spread it out. I mean, yeah, you could let them out all at once, but it's also very expensive to print books.
Yeah, Biggie, I would love for you to jump in as well. That your conversation here, Jess, is like making me think about the experience I think specifically music artists are having in the space right now. Like, there's no model that has been really, really proven out. So it's like everybody's just trying to do something, trying to experiment on different chains, just figuring out a model that maybe even just works for them. But that's exactly like where my mind went. I don't mean to discount like other mediums of art. It just feels like the music artists right now, that's the model that I'm seeing from them is just experimentation.
I wonder where that's going to go to. That's why I want to experiment in that place, even though like my music is performance art type music or sound, let's say. I don't really know.
I'm sure there's going to be a space for everything, including ASMR style. You know, where there's an audience, there's going to be creators. I'm curious, Jess, when you say you don't know where we're going to be down the line, is this more of like a pessimistic take on your part, or just curious to where, in what direction it's going to go for one artist like you're talking about?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, I'm jaded in general, but I don't think I'm that jaded about like the space. I think the space keeps changing. And if we don't recognize that, like I was talking about this morning, like the expectation piece, I think that that's what artists really need to let go of. And I actively, like every time I'm like on X and on these other platforms where my NFT friends and collectors are, I have to reset constantly and be like, this is not the space it was last year or the year before or last week or yesterday. Like, it's continuing to evolve, and whether it's evolving for, you know, the reasons that I want to stay in or not, like, is kind of like irrelevant, I think. So I'm trying to just lower my expectations, or just like not approach it with having these expectations like we used to. Like we were talking earlier today about how we used to like get out our little calculators and we were like calculating everything. And we're like, how many pieces, how many hours, set up our like automatic, you know, promo things that we want to push out. And it's like, that is so stressful. And I think that now, being on all these platforms, I talked about this, I think, earlier this week, everybody's taking a cut of everything, right? So if you're on a platform and they're promoting you, it's like, I'm going to let that just happen. Why am I going to tweet 70,000 times? Because you guys are not going to see my tweets the way X is set up now. So I'm just kind of experimenting and seeing like, how little can I get away with posting about this project? And how much is this platform actually pushing out my drop and my work and putting my work, you know, in front of potential collectors and people that are interested in collecting. So I don't know what that means. And it's not like a pessimistic view. I think it's just like a curiosity thing. That's why I was like, I have nothing to lose putting this poem out. And I think that it's a really exciting idea. Like when they approached me with the idea to do this as group drops, I was like, yeah, I don't know what that means. It's like through OpenSea, but it's on Base. And I don't really know what that means or looks like. And I don't know how Coinbase is involved, but like, let me figure that out. So, you know, when we get off today, I'm going to figure out how to just purchase a piece because I couldn't figure it out last night, but the drop wasn't public yet. So yeah, and I just realized I didn't remove that off of the wall.
Well, I just used the OpenSea bridge, which we did find, and we were showing that right before you hopped on. There is a bridge to Base function integrated directly into OpenSea now. I just used it to bridge a little bit, so I will be able, as soon as that ETH shows up in my Base wallet, to mint one myself. So I'm excited to get the first poem NFT on Base from none other than you, Jessica Yatrofsky.
I'm
So,
curious though, like what you like, throwing that question back at you, Biggie, like what you think.
I'm bullish, obviously, in the space, and I mean that in the. I know I'm using a financial term here, but I'm very hopeful about it. Like I think there's no turning back. I think it's heading in the right direction. I understand why there's many artists right now that are frustrated with its current state, and it's completely understandable, right? But it's also, I think you need to recognize like the canvas that we're dealing with is already like a very tech savvy canvas. Not anybody can partake in it, whether you're a creator or a collector. We're trying to lower that barrier to entry day to day, right? I mean, I have many friends that are artists that don't care about Twitter and will never promote themselves. They see it as whoring themselves out, and it's like not interesting to them whatsoever. They will never do that, and they're still very viable artists, talented, and that would like to put stuff out there if they only knew how, right? But they're never going to play this particular game. And recently, there was a post that I really liked by Amadon that he basically was talking about the current state of these artists, right? Like right now, like a lot of the ones that are bubbling up to the top or garnering attention are people that are very tech savvy, right? They really go out there and engage. And this is not to put them down whatsoever. They belong where they are. They are the ones that are kind of like climbing this mountain and going through all this hurdle and stuff. But that whole thing these days, it's like maybe in this current state of the market right now, you are required to be like a very multifaceted individual, not just an artist. You can't just be an artist, right? But I do see in the future that is an inevitability, and that people that don't necessarily want to go out and do the engagement and the promotions and the platforms will have the tools available to them to still be able to put out their work. And if collectors find them worthy, just like in history has shown before, they will rise up to the top, and they will be lauded for it. And so, yeah, I'm just yeah. I'm
I'm
There's-
a
I'm a
realist
positive
though.
yeah,
in this
well,
space.
I wanted to add something really quickly to Biggie's points there. And that's, Nifty Q, you brought in a quote from our friend Saigo that's something like friction is the friend of wealth
Profits.
or value profits. I think just as an artist, you could apply that similarly, that like being early, going against the grain, or like having to like go through all this friction to try and create and figure this shit out right now, I think will pay dividends in the future. And I think you kind of intuitively
100%.
understand that and know that, which is why you're here. But I do actually believe that all of that friction that you feel, like how frustrating and fucking annoying, you keep going against it anyway and showing up and making shit happen despite that friction. And so many other artists face that or aren't even trying. So I think that like being in this especially friction time and succeeding or continuing to put out stuff during and through all this friction, I think will pay dividends.
I
100%.
wanted to say something to what Biggie was saying too. I think it's interesting that I don't know where this comes from, if this is just like a mindset or whatever, that artists feel like, oh, I don't want to do self-promotion, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that. And I definitely look at myself as a serious artist, like from a serious art background, but like I'm also an opportunistic person. And I don't think that means I have any less integrity because I want to seize a moment. I actually think that that's more that goes with my experimental sort of roots, is that, I know that I will never be the level of popularity in the space that a lot of, some of our artist friends are, but it's like, but they're not in the position that I'm in IRL. Or like, I was actually talking with Black Dave about this recently. We were talking about, emerging artists mid-career and well-established, and like where on the spectrum I exist in like the art world. Oh,
Iconic.
Yeah. And so I think it's important to gauge that like for yourself in your life, and then how you are in this space versus how you are in like your Web 2 life. And like, do you have an online shop? Are you selling your art, or are you like exhibiting in places? Like, what matters to you, I think is, that's where you should start. But I think like trashing one or the other isn't very transgressive. I think it's very regressive and dumb. Like, if people want to just like stay in this old guard way of doing things and this like antiquated way of doing things, I think they're missing out actually on having a lot of fun. Even if this is temporary, you could still be like 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, just be like, oh yeah, I had a run. I had some stuff on the blockchain, and I still think that that's cool. And I don't think that makes my art any less valuable. I have no idea what that alarm was for. Or any less integrous or interesting, or it doesn't devalue me as an artist. I think that because also, how many people are even in this space? Like, not everyone is in this space. So
10,000 active wallets total.
That's so little.
Yeah.
That's so little.
I'm speaking from a collector standpoint and not an artist standpoint, as I, most of the time do. But it feels to me like the artists have specific narratives that get attached to them, and like somebody could have the narrative that they're mysterious and they don't put out a ton of different things, and this is the way that people like see them. And then others like have a different narrative where they're connecting with a collector every single day, or their collector based on the daily or the hourly, like they're that active. And it feels like the narrative, at least looking at it from a collector, is like, if you want to be mysterious or that's the narrative that you want, you could potentially get away with it. But
I don't like the mysterious thing. I mean, I want to like respect everyone, but I can't. Like, I just can't. Like, if you want to be mysterious, I think that you're seriously losing out on an opportunity to be an artist in the space, to be the face of your work, and to connect with other people. And that will lead you to international opportunities. So if you want to be mysterious, go ahead. You might be living in your mom's basement in a few years with all your mystery, or not like achieving the goals that you want to achieve because you like had so much integrity. You didn't want to drop too many projects. You didn't want to work on too many blockchains or take too many partnerships. I'm all like, whatever. I'm just going to take the partnerships. You want to take 50%? Okay. I'm going to just bend over, like, whatever. I just want to experiment. You know what I mean? Like, I want to swing, as we say, but in the Web3 space, and see what's out there, because you just never know where these relationships and opportunities can lead to you too as an artist. So oh no. What about Pac? I don't know her.
No,
he's a very mysterious artist. Controversial sometimes.
Real quick, for those of y'all that are interested in bridging, Gifted mentioned one. I am going to mention the one that I used. I actually came over initially to Base through parallel trading card games. So I got in with gaming, and now I'm buying art here on Base, which is a cool experience. But that was a very easy bridge. I mean, it took
cross-pollination.
It took 30 seconds. The actual bridge cost is on Ethereum, so you do have like a $6, $7 fee. But once you're there, you're spending pennies. But go ahead, Biggie.
I think this space right now is mostly, unfortunately, defined by quantification, right? Number of likes, number of followers, what your floor price is at, volume, all these other things. And unfortunately, I feel, and this doesn't go just to artists, just in general for creators or people in social media, is that you look for approbation, right, from other people, and I think that when you look at art and when you look at artists, at least that's my approach always, is I look for authenticity, because that's something that I feel as human beings, as monkeys that have evolved billions of years, we're very fine-tuned to it. And you can really see when somebody's selling you hard, or where somebody's trying to be mysterious for the sake of being mysterious, not because maybe they are just naturally, not social or whatever. But it is very hard to rise above that noise currently. I think, whether you're putting out pieces, every other day or once a month. I think that's usually what I try to tell people. Like whenever I have conversations with certain artists, I find that their whole thing revolves around that. It's just like, dude, be yourself. It's the hardest and easiest thing to do.
Did he freeze?
Yeah, something happened there.
They're canceling.
The gods took him. They were
Biggie.
like, he's
We got you,
speaking the
Biggie.
truth.
Yeah, you cut out there, but you're back.
I was going to say too, like I have NFTs that are not sold out. Like I have collections that are not sold out. So, and I like, this is the first time I even thought about it in a long time, because I think that at the beginning, like that was a goal and we were all kind of brainwashed as like, that is the goal, to sell out and also to make a lot of money. And I really think at this point, like we should be so grateful in this market to sell anything or to have one fan. Like to have one fan is like amazing. Somebody that comes by your spaces that you're not even a host in. Like I have people that come to Jam Web3 when I'm speaking in there because they're collectors. And that's so kind. Like that's so awesome. And I love that. So it's like, if you can gather that kind of, you can capture people like that by putting out work, like why wouldn't you want to engage in this space on that level, and then that can turn into a lifetime, a collector or customer of yours, someone who's gonna, when you direct a film, like, want to check that out, want to check out your merch, want to check out, your writing, like all of those things. And I just think that, if there's any artists that are watching this and listening right now, like it would be a mistake not to take opportunities given, even if they don't yield high profits or like high popularity. Like I said something earlier this weekend or something where I was talking about like the space isn't about taste. It's like a popularity contest. Yeah. And I think that some of the most interesting art that I've seen in the space have been by people that are not popular at all, that we don't even know their names. And I think that's so interesting. And that's why it's important to like continue to collect art that you just feel drawn to, as opposed to like who the person is. Cause it's like the hype of the person is off. Well, I've felt like everyone that's been super, super hyped in this space is generally like disappointing. I mean, I can count on my hand who has not been, and who I collect from, who like they live up to the hype.
Yeah. Okay. I'm definitely on the side that there's very few legitimate tastemakers and thought leaders in the space. And most people that present themselves that way or get hyped up, to your point, are disappointing. So I agree with that. However, on a more positive note, as we wind down this convo, thank you, Jess, for coming on, talking about it. You have already had 320-ish mints or so, and it's just getting started. 24 hours only on this open edition. The first poetry NFT on base, as far as I know. So please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
We'll just say until someone corrects us.
Yeah, well, until somebody corrects me, I believe this is the first poem minted on base. So congrats again to you. Thank you for coming on and hanging out with us. And yeah, we are way long on this show. We always, Jess, by the way, we've been telling ourselves we're going to keep the show to an hour.
Has it gone over an hour every time?
A little bit.
Do like 90 minutes.
Yeah, we're trying to do that. I would love to put together the minutes of running of each co-host up here and see what we would get to, because I'm the one that gets told that we're over all the time, and yet if I put the minutes on a little timer here, I wonder what that would show. But yes, we do have to get out of here very soon. Jess, I appreciate you again for hopping on the show. Actually, I think the 24-hour timer is, I know you didn't plan on it, but I think that's a good thing. It actually gets people off their butts to like need to go over there now. And I think
that makes it more special for the people that show up.
Yeah. But and speaking of special,
it's ample time. People that if you really want to collect, it's ample time. And I as a collector already, Like one, I was a little bit dismayed that they didn't like serialize the mint numbers. I always like
Oh,
I'm a bit geeky about that, and I was one of the first, Jess. And unfortunately,
you.
I didn't get that little award, but I don't care. That's fine.
well,
But 24 hours is enough, and
Yeah.
afterwards the doors closed, and
But see, you're a holder of multiple pieces. So what I want to do, because this mint is what it is people that hold, I think, the key and one of these poems, like hold the gold key and one of the golden throne. I'm going to try to do something special for you guys. So keep that in mind. I mean, I feel like the vast majority of people that are minting, though, are people that probably do not know anything about me or my work. So
It's good.
But thank you for having me on. And sorry, I'm like super awkward. I was thinking about you this week in Nifty Q because I went to a batting cage. You see this? You see this? I'm in so much pain right here and right here. But I'm
sorry for that.
I'm working out. So
Those are called triceps.
yeah, this piece. I call them pieces. But
It's actually called the posterior deltoid and tricep area. But yeah, we got
I'm working on
Jess,
getting rid of this.
Jess,
down
I've been
here.
thinking about you too because every time I walk into my office now, my man is staring.
He's
And you
cute.
said, oh, I thought you said he was.
No,
thought
I
you
was
said he
talking
wasn't.
about the Crocs.
Oh, yes, you're right.
No,
Well,
that's like, I mean, if that were a plushie, I mean, we'd have to get a room because I need the plushies in my life. No, I mean me and the plushie, not me and you. Yeah.
no, yeah, I get it. I took it that way. I don't know what GIF is doing. All right, folks, we have to get out of here. NFT Live, Web3 Network. We'll be back tomorrow. Ronan the Collector is going to be there. Who knows who's going to hop on the show? I would love to have Jay Yacht more on NFT Live. So, Jessica, you can.
Well, then
you
they
can
have
hop
to
on the
hit
show
the
whenever.
slap the subscribe, punch
There
the
it
like in
is.
the face.
Hit it all. OVOT. Appreciate y'all. See you tomorrow.